united together, we will build something very special. This will be the start of the best decade in the University of South Florida football history. Go Bulls. Just landed in Tampa. We're going to be united from start to finish.
So proud of my guys, man. How far we in the game. Look at us having a good day at main event. My teammates, our coaches, family. Man, it's just such a loving, caring, supportive system.
You know, we out here on the South Boys having a nice day, man, getting a good swim, man. You know, no bulls.
What you're getting is a man that cares about family, the young person holistically, their education, and I think that he's going to invest in the young man first and result in a winning culture.
I just asked him earlier, actually, what he's going to take from Clemson to South Florida. It is loving those players first, and that's how you lead, and that's who Jeff is.
It's a great feeling to know that it's about to happen.
When it comes, it's going to be real special, and we're not turning back.
You know, he promised us if we gave our best in every aspect, he would do the same. I'm here to tell you that Coach Scott kept his promise.
With Michael Kelly as our athletic director and with Coach Scott, I have the fullest confidence that the best days are ahead of us.
Been talking my stuff because I know I come from the gutter.
And it's a touchdown.
Then I go pop out and under this linen like I was a
There's some running room to get things started, and what a way to do it against a 7-1 squad. Brian Battie from goal line to goal line. Going deep. Got his man inside the 15. As Xavier Weaver went up, climbed the ladder, and brought it down. Stepping up, firing over the middle. It's caught for the touchdown.
The point of trickeration. Wide open, and LaPointe laid the lumber to prevent the completion. And
USF blows up the play and gets into the backfield. Blake Green has a lot to celebrate.
All of a sudden, there's big Blake Green.
On the run, it's caught, it's a touchdown! Mitchell Brinkman, the tight end, was open. Goes up and gets it, and then finds his way to the end zone.
Ritter on first down, long throw, intercepted. Picked off by Christian Williams for USF, and he's still going. Williams, magnificent! South Florida trying to set up the run on that left side. It's the big man, Mangum into the end zone. Touchdown, USF.
McClain, the freshman, keeps it. McClain with a pass to the end zone for the USF touchdown, and South Florida on the board.
Short set, got the slant over the middle. It's Horn across midfield. Horn down the sideline. Oh my, what speed! Yikes!
McClain, heaves one deep, double coverage, and caught! Xavier Weaver with the play of the game so far.
They've got the right ingredients with Jeff Scott as the head coach of this program. It's just a matter of time before South Florida is back.
I wanted to be a part of something that was going to be great, and I really believe in Coach Scott and what he's doing with the program and the team and my brothers here.
We want to do it together. We want to put USF back on the map.
It's something you want to be a part of. You want to see it grow. You want to win with these guys. Like, those are your brothers that line up next to you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome inside the Selman Center. We are live inside the USF football locker room. Jim Lighthall, along with former USF linebacker Sam Barrington. Great to have you aboard on this National Signing Day extravaganza. Sam, when you talk about signing day, it's Christmas coming early for the coaches and all the Bulls fans out there.
Yeah, you know, I can't really attest to what this experience is like. I was one of those guys who graduated around the time the traditional graduation happens. Just before the summer, and I enrolled here at USF during the summertime. But this new dynamic is something that's very special for athletes, especially when it comes to development, and you're definitely right, an early Christmas present for this coaching staff.
Yeah, the early signing day has really changed recruiting overall. These guys, the coaching staff has worked extremely hard over the last 12 months, 24 months, 36 months to get these kids down on paper.
Well, how about this? You had COVID last year, so these guys, the coaches had to retain the interest of players and not having the opportunity to actually bring them in and get the guys around the facility for unofficial visits, and even some of those underclassmen who were deserving of official visits. But I tell you what, I think the coaching staff did an amazing job this year. You got a very diverse group, and there were some areas that this team needed to improve on, and they got those areas filled with this signing class.
We're going to have a lot of fun over the next hour as we bring in offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. Of course, the head coach, Jeff Scott, will join us for a brief period as well to run down some of these names. And Sam, when you look at the names on the paper, and they'll eventually be here on campus, it is very diverse, because now you're looking at high school, now you're looking at the transfer portal just as close as you looked at those high schools.
Yeah, one of the things that I've always appreciated about recruiting is when coaches go out and find real talent and not just recruit guys because of popularity. You're going to see some guys who might not be very popular on the recruiting trail this year, but these guys are very talented, have a very special skill set, and a skill set that's applicable to this USF offense and defense as well.
For this program, through the years, for 25 years, it's been built on the Bay Area. You want kids from the Tampa Bay area. There's going to be 7 on this particular class when you're talking about high school and transfers. You have to build a fence around USF to be successful.
I think you do, and when you look across the country, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Florida has the most guys in the NFL per capita, or per just sheer size of the state when you compare it to California and Texas, other states that are leading with guys that are playing on the NFL level. Before you get to the NFL, you got to play college football, right? So yes, if you secure your local area in Florida, whether that's Central Florida, the I-4 corridor, or anywhere just north or south of Florida, you're doing a heck of a job recruiting, and this coaching staff got it done this year.
24 guys that will be new to this program, and we'll go through a lot of those kids. In fact, we'll go through all of them at some point or another over the next 50 remaining minutes or so. But we're talking about 13 high school kids. We're talking about 11 transfers. 7 of those transfers, Sam, are from the ACC, 3 of which are from Clemson. Jeff Scott knows a little about Clemson.
Yeah, and I think he maybe scouted some guys that he might have played against or probably recruited during his time at Clemson as well. But I think most importantly, those guys also witnessed what the transfers were able to come in and do, and how much they were able to come in and contribute this past year. And I think that's one of the things that if a coaching staff is communicating to you, hey, you got a chance to come in here and contribute very early, I think it's very credible, because they saw it done last season with so many of those guys.
Yeah, 2 kids from the American will be here as well. You've got another one from the Big Ten, another one from the Big 12. So they're all over the place as far as the transfers are concerned. And then, of course, in the high school ranks, as we talked about, you're looking at the Bay Area, but they're looking into Tennessee. They're looking into all different places. You never know where you're going to find talent. Sometimes it's in Duval County. I know that for you, but there are other kids out there too.
Yeah, well, that's a 2-hour trip when you're driving, but they've gotten guys that are 2 hours away when you actually have to get in an airplane and go find these guys. So again, that's another testament to how well this coaching staff did this year with recruiting, and making sure that, hey, it's just important to secure your local area, but you must challenge yourself to find talent outside of state lines as well.
They had needs, Sam. There's no doubt about that. Defensive line was one of them, and they've got 6 kids coming in on the defensive line, including 3 transfers.
Yeah, I think there are some tight ends that I'm really excited about. There's a receiver I'm really excited about. But when you take a look at where this team needed to grow last year, not doing well in the sack and tackle for a loss category, it was on the defensive line. And you can tell this coaching staff understood the assignment, and they got it done.
I like the balance. I like the balance between the high school players and the transfers, because when you get the transfers, you're talking about guys that aren't just going to be here for a year or 2. Some will be here 3 and 4 years. Because of the COVID year and everything else that's gone on, they have extra years of eligibility. All right, we're just getting rolling here on the National Signing Day special. We are inside the football locker room from inside the Selman Center. Jim Lighthall, Sam Barrington with you. Charlie Weiss Jr., offensive coordinator, is coming up next with us.
Head on me now, head on me now. I tell them head on me now. Cut out them and all of the legion, so ain't no more wearing me down. Got the genders, I jump out the they know I ain't playing around. I dribble double whenever I bubble. These niggas in trouble, I'm saying it now. Head on me now, head on me now.
And we'll welcome you back inside the USF locker room. Jim Lighthall, Sam Barrington with you on this early signing day special, as we do each and every year, and joined now by offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss. Charlie, first of all, thanks for giving us some time.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, it's probably nice to decompress a little bit after all the work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to come on down here and talk through some of these guys. Really exciting class. Offensively, I'm super excited to get these guys, a lot of which will be here in January. Really looking forward to adding them to our offense.
Well, when you look at the war room on recruiting day, you expect coaches to come down a little, signing day, you expect coaches to come down worn out, sweat under the armpits.
Right.
Maybe hair's a little messed
No
up,
doubt.
but you look well polished today.
Talk about I think both my quarterbacks, they signed like right at 7 o'clock, so it was nice and easy for me to have them done. I think some of the other coaches might have been running around a little bit more than I was, but no, it's been great today. Obviously have a couple guys who got late and all that's very exciting. It's been really good, but definitely a relaxing signing day compared to maybe last year.
Good. Let's talk about some of these kids. Let's start with the high school side.
Yes,
first of all, Jason Albritton, the running back from the Bay Area, and you guys are going to need kids in the Bay Area.
For sure.
Obviously, because that's what you do at USF. And boy, this kid is a horse.
Yeah, no, Jason, he's a power back right here. We got Mike Allstott coming back to Ray J. So I'm really excited about him. Very powerful guy. He's going to be able to do multiple things for us as a blocker and as a runner. I'm really excited to add him, maybe even a short yardage package as a fullback and do some different things with him. So he's definitely an exciting guy.
And I can imagine playing underneath Jaron Mangum will give him an opportunity to grow and understand what it's like to be a successful power running back on the collegiate level.
Yeah.
But the guy I'm very excited about is Mr. Littlejohn.
Yes.
Talking about somebody who's very athletic and
sir.
who can play in space and create matchup issues with linebackers and safeties.
Definitely.
Talk about this guy and what he might bring to this offense.
Yeah, Jason's a great kid, and we're super excited to have him. You know, when I was at FAU, we had two great tight ends there. You know, Harrison Bryant was one who got drafted by the Cleveland Browns, and I see a lot of similar skill set in what Jason can do compared to what Harrison did for us at FAU, and just his ability to create mismatches. So he's powerful enough where he can be in the core and play tight end and backside cutoff defensive ends, insert on linebackers. But what you love is a guy that can do those things, but also you can flex him out. You can get in 3-by-1, put him as the backside receiver, match him up on a corner, flex him out to the field, get him matched up on a Mike linebacker, and run a juke route, different things like that. So he's very exciting to be able to be multiple with him, put him in different spots as you're seeing right there, match him up against safeties, corners, wherever we see the weakest link of a defense, and just finding that matchup and taking advantage of it.
Coach, you mentioned the quarterbacks got in early, which is always good, as you said.
Great.
Byron Brown is a young man out of North Carolina, and boy, he could have a remarkable day because he's up for the Mr. Football in the state of North Carolina later on today. So talk about him.
Byron is just an unbelievable kid. So this is a guy, we were looking through quarterbacks and all that. So in North Carolina, they didn't play his junior season in the fall. They moved it to the spring. So this is a guy who's played really 2 seasons in the past year. We were kind of following him along throughout his spring season, seeing how his games were going, and he was just lighting it up every week, just putting up crazy numbers, all that. We brought him down to campus, did a workout with him, and we really fell in love with him as a player, but even more so as a person. Like literally everybody that you talk to at his school, all of his coaches, he's just a legend at Rollsville and the things that he can do. He's got great ability. He can throw. He can run. He's a 4-point plus GPA student right here. So we are very excited to get him. He'll be here in January as well. That'll be great for him to get those spring practice reps.
Can never have enough quarterbacks.
Never can have enough. That's exactly right.
Right. In addition to that, you can't have enough receivers either,
Definitely.
especially with the year that you had this past year where you had some guys banged up.
Absolutely.
You guys didn't need to bring in a ton of receivers,
right?
But you brought in 4. A few guys that have the experience of playing here locally.
Yes.
You went out of state, got some guys. It seems like one of the more interesting guys is Cade Roberts, specifically.
Yeah, Cade's very intriguing.
Because of what he's done from a success standpoint. Talk about this guy. I mean, you get rid of a guy, not get rid of, but Bryce Miller leaves, and it seems that he'd be replaced by Mr. Horn. But you have another guy who has the skill set to play in the slot, who seems like he'll be able to contribute very early.
No question. I think with Cade, he's all-time leading receiver for receptions in the state of Florida. I mean, think about all the great receivers that have played in the state and the things that he's accomplished at the high school level is pretty remarkable. So we're really excited to get him down here and kind of take over that role. We play some 10 personnel as well. Maybe that's a good position for him to play too. It's that extra slot into the boundary or in 3-by-1 and do some different things where we can create some mismatches. putting a team's third or fourth corner in the game and getting him matched up. So excited to see Cade and the things that he can do for us.
80 catches as a senior, 88 as a junior. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
His dad was a nice college player as well. But,
absolutely.
But you guys brought him into camp and saw some things that you liked. Was that completely out of the blue at the time or not?
No, I think you always want to get all the best players in the state in your camp and see what they can do. And he was just making everybody miss and getting open, and nobody could guard him. So we knew it would be a great fit.
Let's switch back to the quarterbacks. You're going to have another one, Gunner Smith.
Yep.
Perfect name for a quarterback.
That's right, Gunner. It's perfect. Can't beat that right there. Yeah, so Gunner, tall kid, 6'4". He's just going to get better and better as time goes on. He's got the arm talent to make every throw. He's got a very quick release. He's got great anticipation. He's just like Byram, extremely intelligent, 4.0 plus student, and just kind of we're recruiting Timmy and seeing him at Seminole. Lake Mary's right across. So they got to go against each other a whole bunch. That'll be a cool dynamic for the quarterback room. But Gunner's a very talented player. Like I said, he's going to grow and develop and continue to get better and better. He's got arm talent. He's mobile. He can run outside the pocket, throw well on the run. And so just really excited to get Gunner here as well.
Well, you gotta have some guys to protect those guys.
Definitely need that. That's
right.
right.
Like Lofton and Mr. Bailey coming out.
Yep.
Both transfer guys that seem like, although they might be versatile, one seems to be a fixed offensive guard, the other one seems to be a tackle.
Absolutely.
But talk about what bringing depth to this offensive line can do for the overall productivity of the offense next year.
For sure, that's really what we needed. Our starting five did a really good job for us throughout the season. Obviously, they get banged up a little bit as the year goes on when you're playing every single snap throughout the game. So, we definitely needed some guys to come in with some time left. I think all these guys here have a lot of eligibility remaining, and so Mike and DB, they're going to be huge for us. So DB is going to be a tackle for us, transfer from Virginia Tech. Very long, great length, very smart kid. He's going to be able to pick up the offense quickly and be able to make the calls and do the things that he's going to have to do. And then Mike's a guy coming over from the school down the road, another local kid here. So Mike is very powerful. He's a guy that can play center or guard. I think he'll be a really good guard for us. Play some snaps doing that right there, working his way up. Just very powerful, quick twitch. He's able to move people off the line of scrimmage, is what you want, and he's great in pass protection, which is what, as quarterbacks, we want. We want guys who can do that. So both these guys will be huge additions for us. Entering that experienced offensive line room, they're going to learn from some great players in front of them and work their way up right there to gain experience and gain playing time.
Charlie Weiss, offensive coordinator, joining us here. One more high schooler still, Javon Thomas from Sickles High School.
Yes.
Great length on the outside.
Yep.
6'3", 190. A tremendous athlete, too.
Tremendous athlete,
yeah. Have to put a basketball rim in the locker room.
That's right, I think so. I think I might want to make sure I don't play basketball against him in the rec center or something like that. But no, Javon's great. He's a great athlete. He can do so many different things. I think he can play inside or outside. He's got great ball skills. We saw him multiple times at our camp. I believe he came to one camp and went to our 7-on-7 as well. You just see him making plays in a variety of routes. He can get in and out of his breaks. He can go up and catch the ball. He can catch it, run away from people. Once again, a local area kid staying here. You see the double move right there, his quick twitch, being able to finish the play. And so we're very excited about him and the things that he'll be able to add to our room.
How about Caffrey Brown and Michael Dukes, two guys that you had to go out of the state to get?
Yep.
But, hey, it seems like they'll be able to contribute to this offense pretty quickly.
Definitely, yeah. So Chaffrey, we're very excited. So definitely thing that we needed to add was another receiver that had great speed. We obviously got a couple, but want to continue to add to that room and make it very difficult to guard us when you got multiple receivers who can threaten you down the field. So Chaffrey, coming over from North Carolina, just a ton of speed. He's going to be able to run by a defense, run those post routes, go balls, things that we want to do, and be able to take it the distance. Did that a few times while he was at North Carolina, so he's going to be a huge addition. And then Mikey Dukes, the running back, coming over from Clemson. We obviously got great familiarity with him with Coach Scott and Coach Aiken, our running back coach, getting to coach him at Clemson and see the things that he can do. He's a guy that can run with power and he can run with speed. You can see him right here, take it the distance, make you miss in a tight area right there, but he's also got the power where he can finish runs. So obviously we got a great running back room. He's going to be a huge addition to that. That should be one of the strengths of our offense next season.
Let's stay with the Clemson transfer. A Joe.
Yes.
You've got a nice pipeline right now going across the causeway over to Clearwater Academy.
Absolutely, we do. Yeah, so Joe, it was great getting to meet him and the things that he's going to be able to do for us. So he's, a little bit different than some of those other receivers. Chaffrey and Javon, a little bit more of speed guys. Now Joe, he's going to be that boundary receiver for us, okay, go up and get it, okay, throw those conversion balls that you saw Coach Scott do at Clemson. He's going to be that guy. He's going to be able to go up and get it, make those plays down the field, and be very powerful for us. And a big body, he can throw them slants, okay, quick routes like that. He's going to be able to catch it and run people over for extra yards. Playing over at Clearwater Academy, did some great things there. Played at Clemson. We're really excited to get him down here with us.
Now, over the next few weeks, what is life going to be like for these kids as they get ready to transition here and get ready to contribute? I mean, it's a very exciting time for them, but it's also serious. What does that look like?
Yeah, you know, for them, it's going to be different person to person, but there's going to be, you know, learning of the playbook, right? So, you know, we send them the playbook and, you know, start getting a jump start on all that right there. Make sure their body's right for when they come in here for winter conditioning and get ready to go to lift. So when they get here, it's on quick, right? It's going to be a lot going on. Okay, learning football, school, okay, weight training, all that. So they just need to get a little bit of a jump start on that so they're ready to go when they get on campus.
Charlie, thanks for giving us some time. You certainly deserve some time off a little bit. I know Jeff Scott's not going to let you have any. That's just the way it works. But we appreciate it for sure.
Thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. Go Bulls.
All right, that's Charlie Weiss Jr., offensive coordinator for USF. We will talk with defensive coordinator Bob Shoop, the new name to the coaching staff. He is coming up, as well as head coach Jeff Scott. Stick with us on National Signing Day.
Located at MacDill Air Force Base, the men and women of the 927th Air Refueling Wing provide combat-ready forces.
Proud to wear the uniform. Proud to call Tampa Bay home.
Let me get my glasses out there. There you go. Hobbs and Williams are the guys I know the least about because they're the gray shirts or what have you. The rest of the guys I have a pretty good feel for.
Are we bringing him now, or is he on in 2 or 3 minutes?
Hobbs and Williams, coach, are guys that committed to us, and we gray shirted them forward.
That's right.
Okay, because I don't know those guys.
We had somebody D lineman coming back.
Yep, I don't know those guys. The other guys I know about, but those two guys I know very little about.
All right, well, Hobbs is first on our list. So.
That's good. Yeah, I heard
we'll get him out of the way.
Well, do him and Williams together then. Chuck Quez Williams.
Okay.
Well, yeah, so we were just going to talk to him. This is mostly going to introduce Bob.
Yeah, we're just going to introduce
Yeah, sure, whatever you got to do.
We'll do direct comment.
I'm good, whatever.
Okay. So we're not talking to any players here?
No.
Okay.
Even better.
More about Bob.
Okay. Good. All right. Yep. Okay. Welcome back to the USF Football Locker Room. Jim Lighthall, Sam Barrington with you on this early National Signing Day. New face over here next to me, Bob Shoop, the new defensive coordinator. Bob, first of all, welcome to Tampa, welcome to the staff, and thanks for giving us some time.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I'm so excited to be here. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity that Coach Scott has given to me, and I'm very proud to be a part of this family.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. I mean, why USF? I mean, a guy with your tenure, your talent as a coach, your experience, could have coached anywhere in the country, but why here in Tampa?
Coach and I met a couple years ago, and I really kind of liked his style, and I met he and his wife Sarah, and something clicked. And at the time, he was at Clemson, obviously, and just followed his career closely. And when he came here, I thought it was, I've always thought of USF as a sleeping giant. I mean, we've got, obviously, from a geographic perspective, a lot of great fertile recruiting ground around us. We got great facilities, including this wonderful locker room. We play in Ray J. And to me, with the landscape of college football changing, it's not too long before, we're right back at the top of the American Conference and maybe one of the top, teams in G5 football.
everybody wants a defensive coordinator that's super aggressive, that gets after the quarterback. You know, they want sacks, they want tackles for loss. You have that label as being an aggressive scheme guy, an aggressive defensive coordinator. What makes you different than everybody else?
Oh, good players. You know, I mean, to me, as Coach and I talked through this process, I think one of the things an experienced and a good defensive coordinator can do is tailor a scheme to the strengths of the players. You know, so it's first and foremost getting to know the players, identifying, you know, the things that they do well, and putting them in a position to be, you know, a playmaker. And you know, the thing that I do believe in, though, is a style of play. And the style of play that we're going to play is going to be an in-your-face style of play in every aspect. I mean, you know, we're going to work to be dominant and disruptive up front. We're going to challenge routes in the back end. And for Bull fans, it's going to be a fun style of defense to watch. And for our players, it's going to be a fun style of defense to play. I've been fortunate in my 10 days on the job to meet a lot of the players and start to develop relationship with them, develop trust, you know, respect, things along those lines. And they seem really excited. They've watched film, they've been energized, they've been juiced. And when you watch the film from last year, you know, I know the stats tell a story, but the film tells a very different story. It's a fairly athletic group, a group that plays fast, that plays hard, that create a lot of takeaways. And in the second half of a lot of games, you know, you look at the coach's copy, you know, the score showing a one-score game in the third and maybe early in the fourth quarter, and then, you know, something happens and it ends up being a 2 or 3 score game at the end. But I don't think we're that far away from being a pretty good defense.
You know, during my time playing linebacker in both the college level as well as the NFL, I always made it my business to go and build a relationship with my defensive coordinator. But maybe the only reason he was interested in building a relationship with me is because of the value that I brought to his defensive unit outside of being a good guy. The guys that'll get the opportunity, and I know parents are listening, but the guys that'll get the opportunity to be some of your favorite guys, what does that look like, not necessarily from a skill set standpoint, but a commitment standpoint on and off the field?
Well, I want to be here long term. I believe in what Coach is doing. I'm too old now to be taking a job to go. So I want to be here and build this thing with Coach Scott, and so I'm excited about that. And as I said before, the players don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And it's about building meaningful relationships, earning trust, honesty, and respect. And like I just got telling a couple of linebackers right now, you know, it's not a buddy-buddy relationship. I mean, they don't need me to be their buddy. They don't want me to be their buddy. They're not going to call me on Friday or Saturday night and ask me to go hang out at the club with them. Nor do they want to, nor do I want to. But they want to know, they want to know that I'm going to have their back. And trust, honesty, respect, you know, those are words that mean a lot to me. And trust and respect aren't given just because you have the title of coach. Trust and respect are earned, and I'll work hard to earn these players' trust and respect. And I'll always be straight with them. And I think players can deal with honesty, you know. And it's, you know, as I told him, I'm not always going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. And you know, I think as a coach in 2021, you know, with things as they are in the transfer portal, social media, these kids have a lot of pressure. And I think you have to be very intentional with how you speak with, you know, our student athletes nowadays. It can't be, you've got to demand, and you've got to provide structure and discipline, but you can't always attack. You can't be on attack mode. And it's important that our players understand that we care about them and that we're trying to help them to grow to be the best people, best students, and best players they can be.
New defensive coordinator Bob Shoop joining us for a quick word. Boy, he's got some new weapons to work with, and we'll talk about some of those guys with head coach Jeff Scott coming up. 33 years in coaching. Defensive court, you kind of laugh at that. It goes fast, doesn't it? 33 years in coaching, and our program's been in existence 26 years, so that's kind of humorous to me when I think about that. So. Defensive coordinator at Mississippi State, Tennessee, Penn State, Vanderbilt, I could go on and on. You had the #1 defense in the country at Mississippi State, #2 at Penn State. What can you take from those spots and bring to here? Do you have the personnel to do that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you talk about the new weapons, and we're all very excited about that. And we are certainly the grand experiment with regard to the transfer portal. With the rules changing as they are, I mean, it's never been easier in college football to change your roster from one year to the next. I mean, it's, you know, the recruiting high school students is like the draft, and recruiting the transfer portal guys is somewhat like free agency. And Coach Scott and the staff have done an amazing job of that. But the core group are going to be the guys that have played a lot of football for us. You know, Greer and Boyles at linebacker, Mekhi LaPointe at safety. You know, the corners, Day and Christian, who've played a lot for us. So having spent a lot of time with those guys are hungry. Those guys are excited. Some of those guys now have been under 2 or 3 defensive coordinators. So, you know, I think they want to play an in-your-face style of defense. I certainly see, I've watched all the game film from last year. I've watched some of it now multiple times. I've shared with them some of the things we did at Mississippi State and Penn State and Vanderbilt and William and Mary and all the places I've been. I really, I should have started, by sharing how excited I am to be a part of this defensive staff. I've enjoyed establishing a relationship with Ernie, with Daquan, and George and I have worked together in the past. And I really, really, really think, that we're not that far away. And these guys, when they've watched the film, they've been excited. My message to them was, go home and have a great Christmas, because we're not doing this Christmas thing anymore. We're going to be in postseason play.
Exactly.
And when they come back in January, be ready to work hard as you've ever worked, to lay the foundation for a championship caliber defense. And to me, I didn't come here with some 3, 4, 5-year plan. I can't look, Greer, Boyles, and some of those upperclassmen in the eye and say, hey, 3 years from now we're going to be pretty good. I mean, the objective is to build a championship caliber defense in 2022.
Well, that's awesome. You spoke on the transfer portal, right? But can you talk about the advancements and the changes of college football from the day that you started coaching up until now, as it relates to the skill set that you're bringing out of high school and just the data and information available for coaches to assess and make informed decisions?
Well, I mean, you said 33 years of coaching. I mean, I didn't quite realize it was that long, but, the game has changed incredibly and is ever evolving. And I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about it. I enjoy watching film. I enjoy analytics. I enjoy studying. I enjoy research. I enjoy trying to stay, ahead of the game with regard to best practices on defense. And, just in 33 years of coaching, how much the game's changed from a two-back run game that you always started coaching from there. And, when a team had one back in the game, it generally meant they were going to pass the ball, to today's modern style offense, which is, spread offense, quarterback run game, tempo, crazy exotic formations all over the field. So, like I said, I've heard offensive coaches speak, and they talk about attacking this coverage or attacking that coverage or attacking this, front. And I hear defensive coaches talk about adjusting. I'm going to adjust to this formation or adjust to that formation. Well, that's where I've changed my philosophy. I don't believe in adjusting. We're going to attack. This is how we're going to attack this formation. This is how we're going to attack that formation. And this is the mentality that we're going to bring to the game. As far as the recruiting aspect, I mean, social media, recruiting services, all that's changed everything. And, the last decade, recruiting, football's probably college football's probably the most popular sport in America. College recruiting is probably the second most popular sport in America. I mean, more people are watching Wednesday recruiting shows like this across the country than you could possibly imagine. And the competitiveness for recruiting and the opportunities for student athletes, not just to go see their regional school, but to be exposed to things all over the country, are really, really cool. And we're fortunate in this class, in the transfer portal, as you spoke about, bringing some guys back home to the 813 area code and painting them green and gold. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, Coach, we're very fortunate to have you and your 33 years of experience here. Looking forward to you coming up in the 2022 season. I know your wife and sons, once they get their toes in the sand, they're not going to want to leave. That's just the way it works here.
No doubt. This is great. Like I said, I'm so appreciative to be here, and I look forward to getting to know you guys.
All right. We appreciate you stopping by, and good luck with all the new players coming up, high school and the transfers. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, that's Bob Shoup. When we come back, we will have Jeff Scott, and we'll also touch on some of those defensive players that are coming in fresh. The head coach coming up next. Stick with us.
We're about to witness the birth of a college football program behind us.
You see the South Florida Bulls taking the field for the very first time. You want a stadium that is rocking. The Bulls, a big opening night.
Really amazing. I never, wildest dreams, expected this young team to come out and execute like this tonight.
With you inside this beautiful USF football locker room. You probably recognize the guy over here, Jeff Scott, the head coach of the USF Bulls, joins us now to run through some additional players. But Coach, I guess first of all, with today being such a special day, you probably never get tired of this because you work so hard through the year to get to a day like today.
Absolutely. Today, signing day is always one of my favorite days. Been maybe my 15th year in college coaching right now. And it's a special day because it's the official day that another group of young men and families get to join your program. And it's really just kind of it's the end of the whole recruiting process that maybe has lasted a year or 2 years, but really it's the beginning of a new journey with them being on your team. And just a culmination of a lot of hard work by our coaching staff and support staff and so many people here at the university that kind of give us the resources that we need to be able to go out and attract such a top group like the one we signed today.
Now, Coach, you come from Clemson where you guys, your signing day is pretty much decorated by stars, 4- and 5-star guys all down the roster. This may not be the case with this signing class, but you have some very talented guys coming in. Now, what did your coaching staff do, and how did you guys find all these talented guys all across the country?
Well, I think it starts with evaluation, just what you said. You know, we don't go to Rivals or 24/7 and kind of search their top 50 list. We really start right here. You start in the Bay Area. You know, each one of our 10 coaches, each coach has about 12 schools in this Bay Area. So we start within those schools looking at the high school sophomores and juniors to be, watching their film, and then from there we go to the other schools in the state of Florida, and then we kind of branch out. And you know, from there, obviously, you're looking for size, athleticism, a skill set that maybe shows that they can come here and help us win a championship. And then from there, it goes to checking on their grades, their academics. How important are their academics to them, and maybe getting some recommendations on who they are as people, the character, integrity, and all those type of things. So we have a great recruiting department. You know, Mike Gilio is the director of all of our recruiting. Xavier Dye is our recruiting coordinator from an on-field standpoint, coaching standpoint. But Justin Spiros does a great job. Charles Lovett, both of them kind of run our war room back there. And they've got, on one wall, they've got all the high school prospects. On another wall, they got all the college prospects that are in the portal. On the back wall, they got some JUCO guys. And so literally, that's the first office that you have to walk by every morning. So every coach goes in and out of that office multiple times a day. And it's just been a lot of fun just seeing all of this come together today. And really the balance that I feel like that we have between our offense and defensive signees and between some of the guys maybe that have a little bit more experience coming out of the transfer portal to go with some of the guys coming from high school and the junior college ranks.
Coach, one of the recruiting services has you as the best recruiting class for transfers in the country. You can agree with that, you cannot agree with that, but I know you like those players. But I've asked other coaches this in other sports. I'll ask you the same thing. It seems like now every player in the country you have to be aware of because you don't know when the next kid is leaving his program.
Absolutely. You know, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, before the transfer portal became what it was, you really had a group that started with maybe about 2,000 high school prospects. And then you would kind of, you know, everybody be recruiting out of that pool. Well, now it's opened up. There's another pool of about 2,000 prospects, and they're all in the transfer portal. And these guys have been in school for a couple years. They've been eating on the training table. They've been lifting, you know, each week at their college where they are. And so, you know, being able to now look at 4,000 prospects instead of just 2,000 and going from there to kind of get to your 24, that creates, you know, a lot more emphasis, maybe just on the organization and what you're looking for your needs. You know, each year's different when you're looking at your roster and some needs that you need to maybe be able to meet. But there's no doubt it's a changing time, but you know, I'm really excited about it. I think where we are with our overall roster and maybe some depth concerns that we have from this past season, I think being able to go to the transfer portal is going to allow us to maybe answer some of those needs a little bit quicker than maybe the traditional way.
Now, Coach, this may be a bit contradictory to the nature of today because signing day is about the incoming guys. But talk about the mindset of some of your existing players now that you got 20-plus guys joining your team, obviously new personalities, new skill sets, new position battles. What does that look like for your existing players?
Yeah, and that's one of the most important things is you start in your own locker room, right? And yes, today's about the new guys that we're adding, but what was fun for me these last couple weeks is to see our current players coming up into the office and asking about some of these guys that may be coming, and to be able to see, I think one of the coolest things of a recruiting weekend is when your current players get to host the new recruits. And what I believe is if you have a great culture and a winning culture that's really going to allow to build the things that you want to build as a program, your current players are your best recruiters, because your current players, they're going to tell it like it is when they talk to the recruits. And if they're loving the experience, they love the coaches, and they love the environment that they're in, then they're going to tell that to the recruits and families. And if they don't, they're going to share that information as well. And some of our kind of the secret sauce that we had at Clemson was our current players were our best recruiters, and I felt that this year as well. Meach Harris was upstairs today, kind of coming around and celebrating some of these signees, and he was one of our best hosts that we had this year as well. So I got to give him a lot of credit. But yeah, it starts with that group. And one thing I was really pleased with this past year is whenever we did bring in some transfers, man, it was day one. Our current players welcomed them with open arms. And our guys know, hey, man, we want to win. It's no different than an NFL. Each year you got another class comes in, draft class. You got free agents that come in. And then it's kind of, you get started there at the beginning of the year and seeing how everybody can kind of find their role. It adds to a lot of competition, which I think is really good, helps guys, continue to develop as players. And I can't wait for how many guys we have coming in here in January to see them be able to mesh with our current team. It gets me really excited about the spring.
This process started extremely early this morning. It's ongoing. It's evolving as we speak. Since we talked to Charlie Weiss Jr., you've added another offensive player. And before we get to the defensive personnel that's coming in, talk about Jackson Long.
Yeah, we're really excited about Jackson Long. This relationship goes back a long time. His dad, Kevin Long, my dad recruited his dad to Florida State many, many years ago. His dad played offensive line there at Florida State, went on to play with the Titans. And, what you see right here is a really long, athletic tight end. I mean, Jackson's every bit of 6'5". He's about 225 pounds right now. He runs extremely well, and he's really what you're looking for, in the modern day football, whether it's college or NFL. You're looking for these big guys that can really be a threat in the passing game, along with being a really good run blocker out there on the perimeter or in the box. He was a guy that had a lot of different opportunities. And I got to give Xavier Dye, our tight ends coach and recruiting coordinator, a lot of credit because, we had a lot of ground to kind of make up with Jackson, with some of the other people that had been recruiting him. And Xavier did a great job, and we couldn't be more excited than to have Jackson joining us.
Coach, we'll get into some of these guys a little later, but you had some guys that used a term called gray shirt, where their years were pushed off and they didn't start immediately after they graduated high school. Can you talk about those guys and what you expect out of bringing them to this team?
Yeah, both Jaquez Williams and Jalen Hobbs are two defensive linemen that we actually were getting ready to sign in last year's class. And because of all the seniors that we had coming back on the defensive line, we had to ask them to wait. So, here you go. You see big Jalen right here, young man from Florida. And again, he's a force in the middle right there. And really athletic. He bends very well. He's got really good size. He's a guy that you would look at as a run stopper early on, but also has been developing as a guy that can get a pass rush. And, just again, really proud of him to use this year when he was not in school to really, train and get ready for his opportunity. And I know he's really looking forward to getting here in January.
Coach, Eddie Kelly is another guy on the defensive line that can be a massive, massive player in this program. His offers were fantastic from everybody, a 3-star prospect. This is a guy that can make an immediate impact, and what an amazing story with his family and everything else.
Man, Eddie's one of my favorite prospects. As you recruit for many years, you kind of have those guys that stick out. And, we saw Eddie at our 7-on-7 camp this summer, and he was playing tight end and making a lot of one-hand catches out there. And, we started talking to his coach and talking to him about whether he'd play defensive end maybe. And then he did that this year, and we were just very fortunate to really have a head start recruiting him. And by the time his mid-season highlight video got released, we had him here for an official visit and got him committed. And, right around that time, I know he had offers from Florida and Florida State and some other SEC schools. But, man, this guy is exactly what we're looking for. Athletic, super long guy, defensive end. remind you of a guy playing over there at the Bucks, former Bull JPP. This guy has that type of potential, and really looking forward to having him join us here this summer.
Yeah, Coach, well, one of my favorite guys in this class is Jalen Schuler. You talk about a guy who is special at the point of attack and a guy who can run from sideline to sideline. He's out of Coffeyville Community College, a school who has produced a ton of talent over the past decade and a half. Talk about what he brings to an already deep linebacker room.
Yes, well, one thing that we were looking for to continue to add to that linebacker room was that combination of size and speed. He's got a great frame on him. He runs extremely well. He's actually originally from Abbeville, South Carolina, where I was involved in recruiting Kelly Bryant and Martavis Bryant that played with us at Clemson from the small town there where he's from. So we had some common people there that we knew, but man, really excited about him. He had an outstanding year this past year there at Coffeyville, and just like you said, he's a sideline to sideline linebacker, very athletic, good in pass protection or pass coverage as well.
Coach, before we move on to some other kids, talk about the JUCO prospects, because it seems like those kids are getting lost in the shuffle a little bit with the transfer portal, but there's still plenty of guys out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's another pool that maybe some schools might have gone to a little bit more in the past, and because of the transfer portal, maybe some of those guys are getting overlooked. So for us, we're looking anywhere and everywhere. At the end of the day, we want to find the best players. And once we know that they athletically have the athletic ability and skill to help us, then we're looking at academics and character and all those things, and we don't care if it's high school, if it's a college transfer, or a young man that, in his situation, Jalen actually qualified coming out of high school, but he didn't have the offers that he felt like that he really wanted, so he went to junior college to get some tape, and now it's really paid off for him.
Well, I can't, just back in 2009 when I was coming out of high school, I couldn't imagine making a decision where it's like, hey, I got offers, but I'm going to go the community college route. But I think that just shows how much this game has changed and how informed these kids are to make such decisions that wind up paying dividends in the future. I remember as my time as a linebacker, one of the most important things wherever I chose to play was what defensive line I was going to be playing behind. You did a great job bringing in some guys from the ACC, some big guys as well. One of the guys is over 300 pounds. I'm talking about Mr. Nick Baggs, but talk about the guys that you got coming in at the defensive line, from the defensive line standpoint, from the ACC.
Yeah, well, we knew this was going to be a huge, a huge area that we needed to address. We had 6 of our top 8 defensive linemen have all left, and Nick Baggs is one of these young men, transfer from Temple, and just really very athletic. I mean, here's a guy 6'3", 300 pounds, just super athletic, knows how to use his hands, and he loves football. I mean, I think that's one thing that's really important in this day and time. Sometimes you got some big guys that can run, and they start playing football, but maybe they don't really love it the way that you need to be great. Let me just tell you, Nick Baggs, he loves football, and since he committed, he's been one of our top recruiters, helping put together this class with these other defensive linemen.
Coach, when you're talking about guys that put their recruitment off for another year, Taven Ward is another player that did that sort of thing. He's from North Fort Myers, which turns out some great college talent, but he ends up going for a year to Palmetto Prep, I believe it was, and then you need help in the defensive secondary because you were so banged up this year.
Absolutely. Taven is a super athletic guy. We actually had him at our football camp this past year. He was able to come to our camp, and he ran extremely well. We told him we would be following him as he went off to prep school this year, and really had an outstanding year there at prep school. And we definitely wanted to be able to bring him back home, back to his home state down here in Florida. But he's a guy that we think can play corner, also athletic enough. He could play nickel or any of the safety positions, and a really physical player as well, as you can see right there. So really excited to have Taven joining us.
Yeah, you also got the young man James Ash coming in, another guy who transferred from the ACC, but one of the best things about him, another guy who's from the Bay Area. Talk about what he brings from a skill set standpoint to this defensive line.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited about James. He's a young man that we've known about for quite a while, and right over there from Chamberlain High School, had a really good high school career, and went up to Wake Forest, and just like you said, he was looking for that opportunity to come back to the Bay Area and play here at South Florida. I think we have 9 players that we're kind of celebrating today as part of this class that are from the Bay Area. But James, again, big, he's 6'2", 6'3", 285 pounds, can play inside, can play outside if we need him to, and really just going to be a big part of this class and that defensive line group moving forward.
Jamaris Brown is a transfer, an Armwood kid. Boy, if you can get kids out of Armwood, you know they're going to be successful, they're going to be well coached, they're going to be ready for college football. He comes from Kansas State. This is a young man that can really contribute.
Yeah, absolutely. AB is a guy that we've been super excited about. And again, we wanted to add some more speed to our secondary. And he's a guy that's played corner. He's played nickel. He's played safety while he was at Kansas State and did a really good job. And obviously being from Armwood, that's, Coach Evan Davis does a great job over there at Armwood with that program. And anytime you can get one of their players over here to South Florida, that's definitely a benefit. But really excited about him. Will Jones came from Kansas State a year ago and gave AB a very high recommendation whenever AB put his name in the portal.
Okay, another guy. Well, first of all, when I examine your defensive unit, see guys like Antonio Greer, Mikaela Point, I immediately think energy. There's a guy, linebacker, DJ Gordon, the fourth, right? He's one of those guys where the first time you see him, whether that's social media or his film, all you see is energy. Look at that big cheesecake smile right there. Talk about this guy and what he'll bring to that linebacker room.
I'm fired up. As soon as DJ got in the portal, I was on a plane to Minneapolis, Minnesota the very next day. I was up there eating wings with him, and the restaurant was actually called Ray J's up there in Minneapolis, where I met him for dinner one night. But man, he's from Plant City, right here in this area, and big, strong, athletic guy, loves contact. He plays, just like you said, he plays with great emotion. And, man, this was a big get for us. He got a call from that other school down south that just got a new head coach. He got a call from that head coach here over the last couple of days and chose not to pursue that offer and sign with us. And, I think he's going to be a really big part of our defense here moving forward.
3 years of eligibility for him coming in, and that's important too. Clyde Pinder Jr., transfer from North Carolina, again another ACC guy and another Armwood product.
Yeah, Clyde, I remember Clyde whenever I was at Clemson. He came through. He was a young man that we recruited up there to Clemson, and really what I think about with Clyde, he's very athletic. That's one thing we want to really increase our athleticism and speed with those guys up front, and everything that we could see on video and talking to the coaches up there in North Carolina, really just very high ceiling for him. And like you said, he's kind of one of the ringleaders. This whole group right here from Bay Area guys are all part of that 2019-2020 class that have gone off to school, and they really kind of all have their own little text thread, and they wanted to come back together to really help take South Florida to that next level.
Now, it's obvious that you were one of the better coaches in the ACC. And now you've come and you're our head coach now. But it seems like the guys that you affected over at Clemson, even though they were on the other side of the ball, they've echoed how good of a coach you were because they're just coming. You got another guy, Ray Thornton III, who's come and joined your team. Talk about what this transfer looks like. And he's a guy who's 6'1", 205, so he brings some size, and he'll be able to play on that back end with Mikaela Point.
Yeah, this is big. Actually, started recruiting Ray in the 8th grade. Him and Justin Ross were teammates there at Central Phoenix City High School. And, Ray is an athletic guy. He played a lot of ball for Clemson, a lot of snaps, and really was just kind of looking for a new opportunity. And I think the relationship that I had with he and his mom, Brandy, for many, many years, I think really allowed him to come down here and check us out. And once he saw everything at Tampa, saw everything here in South Florida, he got really excited. But he's a guy that I have no doubt in my mind he's going to make a really early impact with our secondary and be one of those guys. Again, going back, he's going to be going into maybe his 3rd or 4th year in college, and he's got 3 years of eligibility left, and just that type of experience, but also having that many years of eligibility is something that's going to help us, in this near term, but also long term here over the next few years.
24 players coming in for USF and head coach Jeff Scott. 13 of those high school, 11 are transfers. Coach, real quick before we let you go, the offseason traditionally is a little slower. Hasn't been the case here because you've got your indoor performance facility that they're breaking ground on, and there's talk about an on-campus football stadium.
Yeah, I was actually just having a conversation with one of our offensive linemen, Meach Harris, in my office a little while ago. We were sitting there just visiting a little bit, and And, look out one window, you see a indoor facility that's getting ready to be built right now, and the trucks are going in there and out of there every day. So as a head coach, you love to see that. That's progress. And then, at the other side, maybe where a potential stadium could be. So there's no doubt in my mind, there's a lot of really good things that are going on here. I feel like the leadership that's intact right now, starting with our board of trustees, Will Weatherford, our chairman of the board, Mike Griffin, the vice chair, and all of the board of trustees, and then with our president, Law right now. I mean, there's just a energy about the athletics program and the vision for athletics here at the University of South Florida. And Michael Kelly being our vice president of athletics, Jay Stroman, who's the head of the foundation on campus. There's just an alignment that really reminds me of the alignment that Coach Sweeney had at Clemson about 10 years ago, and really the things that were able to be accomplished from a facility standpoint and just the overall growth and success of the football program and other athletics programs. I see that same thing happening here over the next few years.
Well, Coach, I think all signs are pointing forward. I just want to congratulate you. You had a full season to recruit these guys. Didn't have one last year. I think you and your coaching staff did a heck of a job, and I'm looking forward to watching these guys play this coming year.
Great. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right, that's head coach Jeff Scott. That will do it for us here inside the locker room, which is inside the Selman Center. For Sam Barrington, for the head coach Jeff Scott, also for Bob Shoup and Charlie Weiss Jr. Thanks for spending the last hour with us as we get you ready for the 2022 season here with the USF Bulls.
All right, here we go. Byron Brown, quarterback at Lighthall High School, Raleigh, North Carolina. Great young man, going to be a great addition to the Bulls. Let's go.
You got Mr. Eddie Kelly from Orlando, Florida, West Orange High School. Going to be a great.
Thomas, 6'3", 190-pound wide receiver from Simmons High School here in Tampa. They made, they stayed.
Here we go.
And the next addition to the South Florida Bull football family, Ray Thornton, outstanding football player, an even better person coming from an outstanding family. He's going to be a great addition to help us build a championship secondary and a championship defense. Go Bulls!
Roberts from South Florida High School, all-time receiving leader at his school, man. Congratulations, go Bulls. Let's go, baby.
This is Darrell Bailey Jr. Some folks call him DB, some folks call him Junior. We don't call him small. He's coming at us from Greenback High School and Virginia Tech. Horns up.
Joe is Joe, Clearwater Academy International via Clemson University and Brooks, Alberta. Stud receiver.
Let's go.
High School, transfer from North Carolina, hometown hero, get it back to the Bay, baby. Let's go!
Dr. Brown, Big High School, coming from North Carolina, ready to take the top off the defense. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Let's go! We got a hard-hitting linebacker from the upstate of South Carolina, ready to get reconnected with this young man. He will be a great addition to us. Go Bulls!
Jason Aubrey, straight out of Newsom High School. Get that man right, he'll run you straight over. Let's go!
Leonard High School, they made, they stayed.
Got Jason Littlejohn here from Hansford, California. Looking forward to getting him out here from the West Coast. Excited about him. Great tight end coming to us. Let's go Bulls.
Big bags, Staten Island, New York, Temple University, gonna be a beast inside.